Hey everybody, how is it going today on your Thursday? Almost the end of the week. It's just like ruminating in my head about conflict resolution and how it's not a skill that we were taught as children. Like, there really aren't any books on it now, or maybe there are books now, but there are way more courses now with relationship coaches. And I've been on this 5-day challenge with Jason Gaddis from the Relationship School about conflict and how to resolve it in partnership, because we all have different fighting styles. There's either like the fighter, the flighter, the one that runs, the freezer, the one who freezes up and can't communicate, or the conflict student, And interestingly enough, I scored super high on the conflict student. I think I had a 69 score, and like the fighter was maybe 24. The flighter was like maybe a 9 I scored, and the freezer I think maybe even like a 2. Like, it's never been my way to freeze. But it's so important because we have a planet of conflict. It's not even intimate partnerships, although like it's a really good place to start. But even with the children in school, being taught how we all have different like ways of relating, and of course different triggers come up too, from our childhood. So if there was a lot of yelling and screaming in the house, you might have a freezer, somebody whose primary way of dealing with conflict is just to freeze up because they don't feel safe, or they're so emotionally shut down that they want to say something but they can't. They're just kind of stuck there, or the flighter, the person that just runs away. For me, because my attachment style was more anxious, and the anxious attachment style would be like having consistency from one parent in the love department and the emotions and needs being taken care of, but the other one was kind of in and out, and that would have been my mom. She was teaching all the time, had kindergarten students all day long, and then come home to 2 children and was tired, and she's more non-emotional anyway. Like, if we think of the role reversal of, everybody assumes women, because we're motherly, even though if we don't birth children, have that innate ability to nurture, and that the men are more like doers and more aggressive, and maybe the disciplinarian. You could reverse those roles with my parents. My dad was like the mushy, kind of sensitive mom, and my mom was like the colder, hard, masculine, and it's still that way. So for me, like, I didn't have the consistency in that, and so I was like anxious attachment because I couldn't understand if the love was there and then it was taken away. Where are you going? So it makes you just want to reach out, And so for me, the fighter is like, that's usually an anxious attachment style. It's somebody who isn't heard, so they need to get their point across. And definitely, like, I'm really good at holding my ground and communicating clearly, but I'm also not great at like just speaking it to make sure you heard me, and then that's it. Because I wasn't heard as a child, I just have to keep saying the same thing like 5 times, to make sure you heard me. And that's definitely something that I need to work on. But what I'm learning in this course too, and at some point if I figure out how to pop links up under my videos, I'll do that. I'm going to have to go into the Google search because I'm not a tech person at all, and I haven't even done any editing on my videos. But what I'm learning is that, so many of us, like in partnership, because there's conflicts, because we come from totally different backgrounds but usually have similar core wounds, we don't know how to do conflict well, And if you're both not willing, it's not going to work. But also, a lot of people are in the mindset, if you keep having trouble with your partner and you don't know how to resolve it, they think it's the partner. So, we're just going to split up and I'm going to go with somebody else, and it's going to be really great, because it was him or it was her. And that's like total bullshit. It's like, we don't know how to do this well. And for me, like for the past probably 2 years, I've really wanted to do this well and wanted to do it well in partnership. But when you're getting met with a lot of resistance, it's not going to work, and like, why would you want to be there anyway? This is another thing Jason's saying too, like, why would you want to be somewhere where there's like resistance and you're not getting your needs met? That's the thing about partnership. And he mentioned it today that, yeah, some people will stay there anyway just because they don't want to be alone. And for me, I'd rather be alone. That's not an option, because when you're stressed out in a partnership, and this came up today, there's cortisol being released in the body, like anxiety, stress, tension. It diminishes your life force. They've done studies that couples that fight well and learn how to repair well and do conflict well have like a 10-year longer lifespan than the couples that don't know how to do this. And one of the missions too of the relationship school, and I love it, is to reach like people, so that we have a planet of people that can like do conflict well, because the reality is we're humans, we have different upbringings, we have different personalities, and we're going to have these issues. So it's a matter of, it's like he was talking about today, getting in the game. Like, if you're going to sit on the sidelines and sit on the bench and think you're going to have a great relationship, good luck. Tell me how that goes for you. That's bullshit. You have to freaking jump into the game and really get in and learn as much as you can so that you can play it really well, be the best athlete you can be. And for me, there's no compromise. I'm not going to do this half-assed anymore. Like, forget it. I did 25 years with my ex-husband, and it wasn't horrible. We grew up together. We learned a lot together, but there also wasn't like, we were merging in a lot of ways. And we certainly didn't know about any of this then, We just fight and like get triggered by our wounds from childhood, and he'd go off and just be alone for a while because he's more introverted, and I would just rant and rave and freak out and scream because I was the fighter, I don't do that anymore. I would really love to sit and like have conflict resolution, even with friends, But yeah, how do you do conflict? Are you willing to learn to do this better, or do you want to keep repeating the same cycles again and again with your intimate partner, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your parents, with your siblings? Like, yeah, it's insanity to keep doing the same thing again and again thinking you're going to get a different result. So I challenge you to look up some of these places like the Relationship School. There's all these relationship coaches online that are helping people. It's so inspiring to me. We don't have to do it the same way, and why would we want to? The old ways are dying out. That's the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. All the systems are breaking down. Time for new structures. So maybe this could be part of your new structure, bringing in healing through your words and really listening to the person so that you understand them. And that doesn't mean that you agree with them. You could have two completely different styles. But it's not about like conflict resolution so that you understand them and you're both on the same page. It's more like understanding their value system and how do they handle themselves and what makes them feel soothed, and being there for them. And then asking the same from them, But remember that you need to be met where you're at, and you need to have somebody who's willing. And if one person's really willing and the other one's not, it won't work. Don't keep like beating the drum. There's plenty of drums out there that will sound just like yours does, and be willing to like learn new beats together. Ciao.